What do the Austin Jones, Onision, and Jefferey Epstein cases have in common?
These things don't happen like they do on a TV police procedural where it's wrapped up. The show starts at 9 and wraps up at 10 and the case is over. That's not how it works in the real world. I mean, I've seen these cases take years to put together. I mean, you look at, the police started looking at Epstein in the early 2000s, and he didn't, he had a plea deal in 2005, but he didn't go down for real with federal charges until 2019.
Right.
Now, that's a bit of an aberration, but what ultimately happened in that case was the Miami Herald kept chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, the same as what we're doing in the Onision case, chipping away, talking to victims, full identity, and ultimately that's going to merge with what law enforcement is doing, and it's going to result in a prosecution.
The answer, it's time. I just want to say before we get started that it is insane that I got to have a phone conversation with the pedo slayer. And I apologize that the audio quality is not better than what it is. My intentions were to record this call directly from my computer, but it seems that there was an issue with Google Voice allowing me to answer on the computer versus my phone. So there was a little mishap. When Chris called me, I tried to answer on the computer. It wouldn't allow me and it sent him straight to voicemail. And at that point, I had to scramble to make this call happen because I didn't want to miss the opportunity. I asked him some questions about Vincent Nicotra, baked salmon, Onision. We talk about Jefferey Epstein and Austin Jones. Ultimately, I think everyone can see that there is a general distaste from Chris for Vincent, and I feel like maybe some of his intentions in accordance with the Onision investigation are kind of laid bare here. I'm not going to do a whole lot of editing to this video. It's mostly just going to be the phone call with pictures of Chris's face. I want you guys to hear this call in an unedited format, raw, the exact way that it happened when it took place. So without further ado, as the homie Philly D would say, let's just jump into it.
I mean, I'm happy to, clarify any questions relating to, copyright strikes or any of that. I don't want to elevate, what Vincent is doing and give it any legitimacy because it just, the stuff he's doing is quite frankly silly and just obnoxious.
Absolutely. 100% free.
But, in terms of, just confirming that, I haven't been copyright striking. Whatever has happened has been, him on his own. That's the truth of it. I wasn't sure quite what the purpose was. I thought maybe you were doing a story of some sort on your site, and
I'm sure I could come up with a few questions that I could probably ask you then in that regards. Because
do you want to call me back, or is now a good time? Or?
Yeah, now it's perfectly fine. I didn't get a chance to put the phone on speaker. And apparently the way this system works is that if you don't respond fast enough, it sends the caller directly to voicemail.
Got it. Not a problem.
So in regards to Vincent, as far as his actions and the things he was doing, I understand that was completely him acting on his own. As a matter of fact, I did a video where I literally presented him as exactly what he said in Deity's live stream where he was going rogue. How long was it before his actions were presented to you?
Well, over the summer, he had done some copyright strikes, and the way he presented to me was it was, something that had to be done to preserve, the previous YouTube channel. And when I saw the fallout from it and how extensive and careless he was with it, I said, restore those channels. Don't ever do it again in my name or, in anything having to do with any of my digital properties. I don't want to be involved in it. And so he did what I asked him to do as far as I could tell. And then come to find out that over the holidays, he picked a fight with some people, and he did it again. I said, Vincent, I told you, do not do that. And I've got texts and things to back all this up. And at this point, I had gotten into great detail with him in terms of what the procedure should be moving forward, and how the rules are, and you're not to be the spokesman for this. You're involved in the production of the YouTube show, and he had gotten involved early on in terms of volunteering to put together a website, and there are multiple issues there, and so I was trying to address all this and give him a shot to do it, but had a very strict code that I wanted him to follow, and he does yeah. You're right. And I said, withdraw it. We're not going to have that. I don't want to be involved in it. I don't, somebody had struck us. I said, it doesn't matter. Let them strike us. We're not going to get involved in a stupid, battle like this. That's not what I'm about. And he did it anyway. Then I asked him to withdraw it. And at that point, we went back and forth and I made it clear that we were parting company, and I was happy to, have somewhat of a discussion about that. And then he went off and hijacked the website and created another website to make it look like it was my personal one. And he,
I've actually,
that. And it's so stupid because all he's done is ruin his credibility anywhere to do any web project again for anybody else, because he's made a joke of himself. I mean, everybody in the digital world knows that, he's just being a jerk about it. And it's shocking to me that he would think that would be a good, why would he not just go be quiet someplace and, let the dust settle and try to do another project? But I just couldn't risk him being involved in it anymore. It was just, it wasn't productive. The work of the material was not great on the website. And so, I moved in a different direction. I tried to make it, cordial, but he didn't want to do it that way.
Absolutely. And it seems like that was going to be an indefinite step that was going to have to be taken, considering the current investigation and how damaging that could potentially be towards not only your reputation, but your...
I just couldn't be involved in it anymore, based upon the information that was coming my way about, the activities that he may have been involved in. He also made a series of reckless remarks to me in the course of conversations over the holidays. And I just couldn't, in good conscience, have anybody even tangentially involved with any of my projects who would say and do things like that. It wasn't even, it got to the point, quite honestly, where it wasn't even a gray area. I would have been irresponsible to allow him to continue. And so I started to button things up, especially the YouTube channel, and, retained other people to protect it. And, a couple days went by and he, started being obnoxious with the website, which I was going to let go anyway because it was so mishmash the way he had done it. I mean, he sold himself as having the background, the technical ability, and the wherewithal to do it all. And it was one problem after another, after another, after another. And look, I've mentored and helped dozens and dozens of people in this business over the years, just as dozens and dozens of people helped and mentored me when I was coming up through the business. So it's not unusual to give a guy a break, but he just, at every turn, he just made it so difficult. And honestly, I thought I was more than patient with this. I mean, I was getting my head kicked in, and because I was letting him, operate a bunch of this stuff. He had the keys to, the properties. And in the end of the day, he proved exactly who he was and the kind of person he is. And, so I'm no longer associated with him. But any strikes that he's doing now, I just don't have any control over or influence on, and I'm not going to strike anybody.
Are you aware that BakedSalmon's original channel has still not been restored?
I'm trying to do whatever I can. I'll try whatever I can do to help Phil restore that channel. And I've said this to him in an email. I'm happy to do. I mean,
it seems like there's he posted on Twitter earlier today that two of the strikes against his current channel, the new channel that he's created, have been removed. And the third one is currently either pending, something along the lines of it's either pending or he's able to attempt to have it removed once again. And my understanding was that allegedly the original Baked Salmon channel was struck by the old Chris Hansen, or not the old Chris Hansen, I apologize, the old Hansen versus Predator YouTube channel, which Vincent at some point had claimed that he no longer had access to. At least that's what he told Mr. G.
No. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have access to the YouTube channels now. Unless,
right.
Somehow he is. I know he doesn't have any access to have a seat.
I think what he was saying was at the time that Phil's channel was struck.
Vince did that, and Vince, I know he made statements that he did it at my behest, and that's just plainly false.
Right. No, I'm not trying to say that was you at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm in full understanding that was Vincent.
Yeah.
So, I guess some of the concerns that have pretty much already been addressed. I mean, a lot of people were saying that Vincent is behaving the same way that Onision does, because Onision will or copyright claim anybody who puts up any comment about him. I have 3 channels. I have 3 videos on my channel that have been copyright claimed, and all of mine, in my opinion, are fair use. They're just commentaries. I create a commentary around those fake meltdowns that he did. Yeah.
Well, he claimed something of mine. We got it removed right away by YouTube.
Right. I tried to fight it all the way up to appeals, but he insisted that I was still not operating under fair use. And of course, my channel is incredibly small. I've been building for the last couple of months.
Right.
I'm currently about 137 subscribers, but for me to face 3 strikes almost immediately, that would kill my channel right away. So I can't even fight him. I just have to let him copyright claim my videos. And my understanding is the way that works is that if he copyright claims me, he has a couple of options. One of which he can either forcibly have my videos removed, or he can have them blocked from being seen outside of the country and in specific locations, or his other option is that he can monetize, which is one of the main reasons why I haven't really made any more content about Onision since those, because I don't want to aid him in funding his channels or his behaviors, because I absolutely detest this.
He's a bad guy. Yeah. I never use any of his videos or his image, except in a thumbnail. But so anything he's done to me has gone away. And if anything, I mean, he has stolen, parts of an interview from a while back on the old channel and cut his sound in it, which is just gross. I mean, it's stuff, it's hard to watch his stuff. I get enough of it to know what he's doing to address it journalistically. And beyond that, I'm not going to give him any. I'm sorry?
I said, have you seen his the most recent stuff that he's uploaded? He put up over 32 separate videos, it's obvious what he's doing. He put up there right within that 10-minute mark, which is kind of like the prime spot you want to be in for monetization, for viewer retention and things like that. And it's over 30 videos. Which at one point when he had put up 29 of them, collectively the playlist that he created alone had more than 15,000 views. And that's just for the playlist, not including individual views per video.
Right.
So it's obvious that he's trying to set himself up in a way where he can line his pockets off the backs of the alleged victims that he's taken advantage of.
Exactly. So, we'll see how that goes as they continue the investigation. The clock's ticking on that, and that's all happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are just kind of sitting around with bated breath at this point, waiting to see what's going to happen. And a lot of people, some people don't understand that it takes time. Other people understand that it does take time. There's a lot of back and forth arguments between how long some of this stuff takes. But if you look at the Austin Jones, I believe it was Austin Jones. Yeah, Austin Jones case. It took over a year just to put him away with damnable evidence. I mean, there was videographic footage that he was sending to underage girls, as well as footage that he was receiving from them.
Right.
Not to mention, the messages back and forth, the private messages between him and them. So I think, Ray, you've already been on this for, 6 months now? So, it's, I think some people just need to kind of be a little bit more patient.
Well, but I think, on tonight's show, we had Shiloh on, one of the high-profile victims and survivors, and, she made that point. It's like, it takes time. And listen, you see people ask questions, or you get some fellow on Twitter who calls an FBI office someplace and says, they're not going to tell you or talk to you, a stranger. I mean, I've got a relationship with these investigative agencies going back 30 some years. And so, I don't expect special treatment, but I know who to talk to figure out what's going on. And we've reported that. In fact, last week we had, the spokesperson for the Pierce County Sheriff's Department go on camera and talk about the investigation and where it's at and what they're doing. And, you had 19 separate, law enforcement call reports coming from that address in Gig Harbor, Washington, related to that property and the people who live there in a 1 year span. So what does that say about what's going on there? And this ranges from, the 2-year-old daughter falling out the window nearly fatally to all kinds of allegations about grooming, inappropriate contact with minors, and all kinds of other offensive behavior that has been broadcast on YouTube. So, they've got their hands full. They've got a task force in Tacoma that's taking a look at it. They've got the Sheriff's Department. They've got the FBI out there is been in contact with one of the victims regarding a laptop and a phone. And, it's all moving forward. But, these things don't happen like they do on a TV police procedural where it's wrapped up, the show starts at 9 and wraps up at 10 and the case is over. That's not how it works in the real world. I mean, I've seen these cases take years to put together. I mean, you look at, the police started looking at Epstein in the early 2000s, and he didn't, he had a plea deal in 2005, but he didn't go down for real with federal charges until 2019.
Right.
Now, that's a bit of an aberration, but what ultimately happened in that case was the Miami Herald kept chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, the same as what we're doing in the Onision case, chipping away, talking to victims, full identity, and, ultimately that's going to merge with what law enforcement is doing, and it's going to result in a prosecution.
Right. I wanted to go back to just for a brief moment, and I don't want to hold you up terribly long. I'm sure you've got other things that you might be busy.
I just finished the show, and I'm going to finish cooking dinner for my son here and get back to it. Well, go ahead.
Going back to where you were discussing the instance with his daughter and the accident, I just wanted to gather your thoughts. I mean, I've already kind of got an idea based off of what you said in the video after, breaking that news. I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea that Onision would grab a camera is his first thought while his daughter is splayed out on the driveway to record 2 seconds worth of footage just so that he could show the police that it wasn't his fault that happened. Because as a parent myself of 2 children, and I'm not trying to portray my parenthood as being absolutely perfect. Obviously, all parents make mistakes. But something like this is pretty severe when you consider that both parents are home all the time. How no one was paying attention, and what kind of father tries to record 2 seconds worth of video just to try to prove his own innocence when why would he even think that anyone would point the finger at him?
Well, I think it's noted in the police reports, if you take a look, and they're out there, that
I've seen,
the detective noted in the police report that he thought it was odd that he would take a video of the child lying in pain with multiple skull fractures, and what they found out later was a fairly severe hematoma, and then pan up to the window from which the child fell. I mean, I'm the parent of 2 kids as well, and I never had anybody fall out a window, but accidents happen, and your first and most natural protective response is to call an ambulance and render first aid. And if it's not an ambulance situation, then you toss the kid in the car and you go to the emergency room or the doctor's office. I mean, that's what you do as a parent, and anything else is suspect. And when you combine that with the allegation that he was, according to many, verifiable reports, that he was engaging in inappropriate texts in and around the time that all this was happening. I mean, geez, who continues the text when the 2-year-old daughter has multiple scars? I mean, that could have been a fatal accident. I mean,
not only could it have been extremely fatal, the long-term damage that could potentially exist for that girl. A lot of times, severe head trauma like that, and I've worked with a coworker before who had suffered severe head trauma like that, and I've had a family member who's also suffered severe head trauma like that, and both of those have had long-term mental illness issues and into their adult life.
No, that's a big deal.
Right. Okay, well.
All right.
I'm
happy to help out.
Call me.
Yeah, not a problem.
And hopefully, if I decide to make any kind of footage around this, obviously I feel like neither one of us have really said anything here that would be negative in its nature. I would probably share this call just to, have your voice out there a little bit more, air your concerns, saying, hey, everything that happened during that whole Vincent situation, the whole TCAP situation, the whole New Year's Eve situation, that was way out of my depth. That was way beyond my own control. Vincent was acting on his own, and I mean, he even said so himself.
Well, not only that, it was in the direct opposite of what I had asked him to do, and very vocal. I mean, there was no gray area here. I told him in no uncertain terms that he is not to represent the name, the brand, or any of the digital properties in the way that he was going off doing. I mean, it can't be any clearer, and it's all backed up by text and, back and forth. And then, next minute he's apologizing, and I was dumb. It was ego and stupidity. I'll never do it again. I respect you. And then, then he goes off and does it again. I mean, he put me in an impossible situation.
Well, he was begging
realized
that he's getting ready to lose his, for lack of a better way of saying it, his, what's the word I'm looking for here? His meal ticket
status. Well,
it seems like he tried to basically ride off your coattails and peddle his own his own way to gain finance off of the brand. That much is obvious. Have you seen that he still apparently has people that are active on Twitter that are just constantly speaking? It almost looks identical to the way that he would speak, honestly. That are just speaking out against him.
If there are misspellings and poor syntax, it's probably Vincent.
Yeah. That's kind of the general consensus.
Or his buddy who was with him when they put the offensive text out regarding Onision. And here's the thing: it wasn't even clever or funny. I mean, there was no good reason to do it. I mean, nothing. There was no creativity to it. It was dopey. It wasn't funny. It was certainly inappropriate on multiple levels. And he didn't even come out and tell me about it until it leaked out, and I questioned about it, and he had 5 different stories to me. Now, if you can't tell me the truth, and you're working for me, then what else are you not being truthful about? And there were, without getting into it, there were multiple issues, ranging from, we were doing a very serious show one night, and all of a sudden I hear this crunching in my ear, and I look up at the monitor, and I said, I tore into him after the show. I said, I didn't know I was on. I said, how could you not know I was on? And, I let it slide. Maybe it was a mistake.
This is the individual that was in direct control. He knew he was on screen.
I believe that now. I mean, he was punching the buttons. How could he not know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like he's the individual that's meant to monitor the stream and make sure that things are healthy and that they run smooth.
Right.
You're the person conducting the interview. Your job is not to monitor like when I stream, I'm responsible for everything. I have to make sure my stream is healthy. I'm very aware of what I'm doing. Vincent was aware of what he was doing. He was trying to put himself.
He did 12 things, any one of which would have got him fired. And I was patient. I gave him the benefit of the doubt at every turn, and then it just became no longer tolerable. And when he made the racially charged remarks that he did in the text, I can't be involved with somebody like that.
Right.
You just can't.
Apparently, he was making inappropriate innuendos. My understanding was that he sent some messages to some other YouTube content creators or other people that were involved with another content creator. He was sending them inappropriate messages, and I believe that the tweet that he sent out that he claimed was his friend, I believe he probably messaged that to Regina as well. It's mind-boggling how a 44-year-old man can conduct himself in that fashion. How
could I have predicted this? I mean, it's just I shake my head with my significant other. Said, did I miss something here? I mean, am I that
kind of nonsense from like somebody in their 20-somethings who is trying to be edgy and funny, not from a grown man who is supposed to be representing himself as a professional.
No. Right, and so here's a guy who's a teacher, and licensed in the state of New York, who's allegedly got his own business, who's got a teenage son of his own. I mean, what example are you setting out there? And again, you have to know that I gave him every possible shot. I gave him direction, advice, personal and professional, and at some point, at every turn, he betrayed that. And I could no longer justify or have him be a part of this in any way. And now he's shown his true colors with his idiotic actions that are just, absurd and they speak for themselves. I mean, this guy's mind. Who does that? Look, if you have a thing and a gig and you mess up and it ends, you go away, suck it up, fix the problem, and don't do it again. This guy he's becoming one of the most hated people in the digital space and I don't know what's making him tick. I have sent at least 6 correspondences to his sister, who's a lawyer. And none of them are threatening. None of them are bizarre. Each one of them was meant to get Vincent help. I said to her, this is not just me reaching out to his lawyer. This is me reaching out to you as his sister. Please get to the bottom of what's going on here. He's going to harm himself or others in one way or the other. I'm pleading. And she wouldn't, as of this minute, she has not addressed the issues I've raised. And so I don't know whether she's in denial or he's, got her fooled, but I can't. There's nobody else I can turn to make sure that he's getting the help he needs before it's too late and he does something really catastrophically dangerous and stupid.
Yeah, I think he's just continuing a whole lot. Like maybe he kind of reached a point where maybe he's thought to himself, it's not. I can't make things any worse, so let's just continue down the same path.
Everybody sees it though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he's making it public, so it's hard not to see it. He's got me blocked on Twitter, but I still follow other people that are constantly, when something new crops up, they're showing what we call the receipts for that behavior.
Right.
I think even Phil had talked about how he had reached out to Francis. It is Francis Nicotra, right, his sister?
Yeah. Yeah.
And had tried to reach some kind of agreement so that Phil could get his videos restored. And they made these crazy, they wanted to write up these crazy contracts, kind of like where basically Phil would have to agree not to make any more content based around Vincent, and that the other stipulation would have been if Phil seen anyone else make any content based off of Vincent, that Phil would willingly strike those videos or that channel. And Phil said, absolutely not. I don't agree to either one of these.
No. They had no position. They have no, he is so clearly wrong on everything.
Well, it's gotten a
debatable point.
It's gotten a lot of attention through Mr. Gigi recently. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just happened to think about this because he reached out to YouTube because obviously Vincent tried to copyright strike Gigi, and it didn't work out for Vincent. As a matter of fact, YouTube sided Mr. Gigi and said that they would not be pursuing it or moving forward, that Gigi had done nothing wrong. And then Gigi proceeded on Twitter to provide a lot of evidence against Vincent, and they actually responded, which was shocking because they really hardly ever respond to anybody.
Yeah. No, I know.
They were very receiving to the information that he provided, and they said that they would be keeping a close eye on Vincent's behavior from here on out. That's at least my understanding of what I've seen.
Well, they should. I mean, but this the whole thing of Mr. Gigi. I mean, I had him on the old show, and he was very pleasant. And I mean, look, I never struck Mr. Gigi. He used my stuff all the time, and he figured out a way to get in there and monetize and make his name through my work. He figured it out. So
right.
I have no beef with Mr. Gigi. And, Vincent wanted to be a player in this space and, wanted to be friendly with these people. And then he picked fights with them. And he got so sensitive when he did something bad to them and they struck back when he was all, the victim of everything. I said, well, Vincent, that's not how it works. You can't let ego and hubris get in the way of business and creativity. He let it all go to his head.
Oh yeah.
And then he had
absolutely.
to pound his chest and do stupid stuff. I mean, there's just no good reason for any of it. And I guess it was hard to believe that anybody would actually do that.
Absolutely. I have one last question that I wanted to ask you, and I can't remember what it was now. It seems to have escaped me, and I'm probably going to remember it as soon as we get off the call.
Shoot me a note, and I'll be around tomorrow. I just said today was a crazy day. I had some meetings on a couple TV projects and had to get the YouTube show on tonight. So
I remembered what it was now. I'd seen the last little bit of the live stream, and I'd seen where Mike Morse was, making his statement about like why YouTube hasn't taken action against Onision yet. And I think their stance is that, and I've seen other people take this position where they say, hey, look, we're not siding with Onision necessarily, but we kind of stand firmly on the innocent until proven guilty. And I think until there's an actual conviction, when he's facing a trial, and is actually in court, I don't think they're going to take action until that actually happens, because they did the same, like I think you had said this too. They did the same thing with Austin Jones. They didn't move on that until after there was indefinite conviction. And I think that's probably what's going to continue to happen with Onision.
Well, I think there was an indictment in the Austin Jones case, and they moved on it, and that was quickly followed by a guilty plea. And I honestly don't know whether they took them off when the indictment came or when the guilty plea came. But there were definitely federal charges prior to YouTube taking any action on that.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that was I think that was the last thing I wanted to draw attention to. That's my stance on that. I appreciate you taking time tonight to do this. And like I said, I'll probably present this. I'm not going to edit it in any way because I don't think you said anything. And that was just the game. I don't think you said anything that wasn't factual. So.
There you go. That's the goal.
Yeah.
All right. You have a pleasant evening.
You too.
Okay. Thanks for your interest in it.
Thanks. No problem.
All right. Have a good night.
I had to take that hoodie off. I was getting kind of warm. Anyways, that's it. That's the call. I personally haven't went back and listened to the whole thing myself, so the most that I can say is that this was unscripted. So every question that I asked him, every statement that I made, every bit of engagement that I had with Chris Hansen was completely organic, on the fly. Listen, I'm not an interviewer. I've never interviewed someone famous before. I've had run-ins with celebrities in the past, and I don't even really want to say celebrities. It's more like famous guys in bands, and that's it. So, if there were questions that I should have asked, leave it down in the comments section. Let me know what you thought about this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel because it's fucking free. I'm going to say that forever until you subscribe. Like, what, 70% of you that watch my content are not subscribed to the channel. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. Subscribe. Click it. You know you want to. Please do it. Go ahead. All right. Anyways, my name has been Digital Goon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.